Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I thought I'd take some time off to do a quick little review of the prequel to The Thing. Now, when I first heard this was coming out, I thought it was an actual remake of The Thing once again because it's just called The Thing. Couldn't they put like a subtitle underneath it or something? But anyway, I'm just here to do a quick review on it. I'm a huge fan of both the 1982 and the 1951 version of The Thing. And for me, the best one is the 82 version because it's closer to the novel, and I've read the novel. I actually enjoy it a lot. And when I heard they're doing a prequel to the John Carpenter's 82 version, I was pretty weary because I was like, well, how are they going to do this? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Whatever. In the end, I went to see it, and I was surprised and disappointed at the same time. I have some good things to say about this film and some bad things. So I'm going to go through a little list here that I have of the good things that I liked and some of the bad things I did not like. The good things to begin with, we have two good lead actors, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and I believe it's Joel Edgerton, if that's how you pronounce his name. They both do a decent job, although Joel Edgerton seems to be kind of trying to rip off Kurt Russell in the original. But he does a decent job with what he's given. Both of those two do a fine job, even though they don't have much character development. We have some suspenseful moments in the film. They really work out well. We have some good set design and some good locations. It really is very well filmed. This film is very, very well shot. It reminds me of John Carpenter's camera work. We have some good creature designs. They are very creative, and some of them are very familiar. And the film wraps up very well in the end. They kept that continuity to lead into the John Carpenter movie, because this is a prequel to the John Carpenter version, and it ties up very well in the end, and it's filmed brilliantly. It's almost seamless, although some of the people in the end didn't quite look like what they did in the John Carpenter version. Okay, now let's get to the bad. We have some of the special effects which are uneven. We have some really good practical moments. They have some practical effects in this movie, and they look really good, the practical ones. But the CGI effects look very cheap and very cartoonish. I almost laughed on some of them. But, the good practical effects are where they're at, and the creature designs of the actual creatures themselves are really good, so I think they're very imaginative. And also, kind of another bad thing about the film is that the mystique is ruined, because in the original John Carpenter version we didn't know what happened at the Norwegian base, and I think that was kind of the scary part of it, and the way it was told, like, what happened here? We don't know. We just saw this weird shit, like some guy who slit his wrists and his throat, and he's like, his blood's frozen, he's sitting in the chair. What is that? I mean, what happened? And they didn't really tie up on that very well either, actually, in the end. That was the only problem I had about the ending. They forgot to mention what happened to that guy who slit his throat and wrists. They didn't really do much about it. I mean, they showed him there, but they didn't explain why he did it or who he was. So sometimes you forget who was in the movie and who wasn't. It's very complicated. And maybe or it was just laziness. After all, this movie is written by the people who've done the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Although that film is terrible, this one is not as bad. This one's a lot better. And finally, my last problem with the movie is some of the poor acting from some of the supporting cast. The main doctor in the film, and I'm not talking about Mary Elizabeth Winstead's doctor character, I'm talking about the other guy, I forgot his name, but he was pretty cheesy. So that's pretty much my whole opinion on The Thing, the prequel. I think it's a good film, it's a good monster film, it's a good B monster movie, but it's not going to touch John Carpenter's version. However, I did like one other thing. The music from John Carpenter's version was present, and that made me kind of, smile that they kept that in there. And they didn't play it all the way through either, so they wouldn't make it wear out. But overall, I thought this movie was decent. I didn't think it was as bad as it could have been, and I think it's entertaining to watch. But it is not as good as it should have been, in my opinion, because from what I heard at one point, John Carpenter himself wanted to do a proper sequel to The Thing. I'm not kidding. He was going to get Keith David and Kurt Russell back, and it was going to pick up right with where his version of the film left off. So he was going to do a follow-up to it. But Universal said, no, let's just wait a few years and let's do a prequel to it. And, it's sort of a bad idea in my opinion, and a good idea. I wanted to see how they done it, and I hope they done it clever. I hope they done a clever job at doing it, But they only done an adequate job with it in this film, and it just, it ruined the mystique of John Carpenter's film, in my opinion. So I hate this movie and I like it at the same time. So if I'm going to give this one a score out of 10, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. And the other ones, the John Carpenter and the 1951 version, I'd give both 10s out of 10, because they're really good movies. And they have the better suspense. This one doesn't. This one is more about shock value and I think gore. And it successfully does it. Although there are a few suspenseful moments, they're not as many, And I don't think the atmosphere is as creepy as John Carpenter's version, or even the 1951 Howard Hawks version. So this film is a fun B monster movie at best. That's all I can say about it. Well, that's all I have to say about this movie, guys. Thank you for listening. This is probably going to be the only horror film review I'm going to be doing, so consider this the Halloween review, because Halloween's just around the corner now. But I'm being very busy lately. I'm doing a course for retail. I'm doing college work, etc., etc. So I'm very busy in the recent days and recent weeks. I'll be busy for a long time. But whenever I get the chance to do a review or a video, I'll do it. So until the next time, I'll see you all later. Happy Halloween for all of you who celebrate it.